A lion does not announce that it has lost control. The pride does not gather to witness the moment. Authority is withdrawn. There is no final roar, no climactic battle that defines the line between dominance and irrelevance. Control dissolves in the space between behaviors, in the moment when presence stops producing consequence, when stillness becomes indistinguishable from absence. Welcome to the second video on my channel. I'm James. In this video, I'll be talking about the psychology of lions. What happens the moment a lion loses control? Let's get straight into it. Enjoy. A lion does not maintain authority by constantly asserting himself. The male who holds territory over a pride does not patrol borders through a programmed routine. He does not attack every rival male that enters his space. He does not physically punish every act of disobedience among the lions beneath him. The power he sustains does not come from applied violence, but from anticipated outcome. The pride does not rush to eat first, because they fight him at every kill. They hold back because, before hunger turns into action, the expectation of his priority already exists. Younger males lower their gaze, adjust their physical position, not in response to aggression, but in response to his behavior. His control is a psychological infrastructure, a mutually accepted reality that requires minimal force because it is constantly reinforced through the behavior of those who accept it. This kind of authority remains invisible until it fails. The lion's physical presence becomes synonymous with consequence. His stillness at the edge of the pride communicates more than movement ever could. He does not need to be near the kill. Priority is already granted to him. He does not need to vocalize to shift spatial dynamics. The pride shapes itself around the assumption of his centrality. But this centrality is not a permanent structure. It is a sustained belief, and belief feeds not on what has happened, but on what is expected to happen. The male's authority rests on timing, the delicate balance between passivity and intervention. And as in every system, balance here is everything. To avoid constant testing, he must remain peripheral enough, but to influence every decision. He must remain central enough. Too much visibility invites challenge. Too much distance invites replacement. A controlling lion does not rule through repeated dominance displays. He rules through the threat that exists when structure disappears, through unpredictability embedded in stillness. This is an extraordinary strategy. Every member of the pride adjusts their behavior around a question that is never spoken aloud. If I proceed, what will he do? Yet the lion does not consciously construct this perception. He lives inside it, both its architect and its prisoner. His behavior is shaped by feedback loops established long before his reign. The pride's submission creates his authority. His authority produces their submission, and the loop continues until an unseen variable disrupts the balance. An entire system is built again with all its rules firmly in place at its peak. Control feels permanent. It feels structural, as if it exists independently of the actions that sustain it. And that feeling, that internal certainty, is where the first fracture forms. The first damage occurs in a space too small to be observed from the outside, existing only within the lion's own perceptual mechanism. He is still dominant. The pride still retreats. They still fear him. Rivals still avoid direct confrontation, but something subtle has shifted in timing, and that subtle shift is everything. A younger male hesitates a fraction longer before retreating. A lioness glances toward him before eating, but no longer waits for his approach. These are not acts of defiance. They are hesitations in the feedback loop, small adjustments that indicate the pride's internal calculus has shifted in a direction he has not yet consciously recognized. How he responds determines whether control stabilizes or continues to erode. But his response is not calculated. It emerges from instincts shaped by past success, instincts that have not yet absorbed the new information his environment is providing. He may assert himself at a moment when assertion is no longer expected. Instead of reinforcing authority, this creates confusion. A single poor action at the wrong moment destabilizes the balance even further. He may withdraw when his presence is expected, interpreted not as strategy, but as uncertainty. His timing, once nearly flawless, now lags behind or overshoots. The rhythm of the pride, each poor decision, slightly alters the responses of those around him. Those altered responses slightly alter his behavior in return, and the gap widens. This is not weakness. His physical capacity has not diminished. His ability to enforce power through violence still exists, but control was never sustained through violence. It was sustained through the expectation of violence. An expectation is a prediction made by others, based on his past behavior. When his actions fall out of sync with that prediction, expectation recalibrates. The pride unconsciously begins to test boundaries they once assumed were fixed, not through open confrontation, but through small, incremental behavioral changes, subtle mind games, invisible to outside observers, yet accumulating into structural instability. From his perspective, nothing has changed. He still believes he is at the top, but dominance is not binary. It is a spectrum shaped by continuously recalibrated perception, and because the lion operates within his own subjective experience, he only recognizes the shift when reversal is no longer possible. By the time he realizes it, it's already too late. The pride is no longer organized around his presence. It is organized around his absence. There comes a point where authority cannot be reclaimed through action. Lion is still physically present. He still has the capacity to impose his will through violence, but the pride no longer factors him into decisions before making them. His presence is no longer central. It is incidental. Lionesses feed without checking his location. Younger males move through space without adjusting their trajectory for his proximity. He has not been removed. He has been bypassed. No one has harmed him physically, but he is now ignored. This displacement is invisible because it requires no collision. The pride does not gather to reject him. There is no collective decision. Each individual responds independently to his declining predictive value. These individual adjustments accumulate into a new social structure where he is no longer a variable. He becomes environmental minus present, but without effect, because the process is gradual. There is no single moment of collapse. One moment he is dominant, the next he is not. The transition happens between moments that feel identical at this stage. His reactions often accelerate the collapse. He may repeat behaviors that once generated submission, hoping to reclaim his position psychologically, even while collapsing. He may still believe he can rise again, but detached from their original context. These behaviors no longer signal authority. They register as noise. The pride reads them not as a return of control, but as evidence of instability, confirmation that the psychological infrastructure has already collapsed, or he may withdraw completely. A defensive move to avoid confrontation, but in reality, it abandons the last mechanism through which control could be sustained. His absence becomes expected, his intervention too infrequent to matter. He is still alive, still nearby, but no longer meaningful. Authority, lost at this level, cannot be regained through adjustment. Perception has solidified, and once perception hardens, it rejects contradictory information. Even if he asserts himself successfully, it is seen as an isolated incident, not a restored order. The system that sustained his control has collapsed, and systems cannot be rebuilt alone. They require collective recalibration. The pride no longer has the incentive or the power to do so. What follows is not dramatic. The lion does not die in battle. He is not driven out through prolonged conflict. He simply becomes ordinary. He remains near the pride, but his presence carries no meaning. He eats leftovers, not because he is prevented from approaching earlier, but because his approach is no longer anticipated. The space he once occupied at the center is filled not by a single successor, but by gradual redistribution of attention and priority. Authority is gone. The pride continues without a dominant male, and he exists within this structure as irrelevance. This state can last months, even years. There is no clear decline, so he does not experience it as collapse. Each day mirrors the one before. He sleeps farther from the pride. He hunts alone. He roars into land that no longer recognizes him. The pride continues without him. They do not notice his absence. They never even wonder where he is. As I said in my wolf video, life is ruthless. That is its rule. Other lions do not remember him as a strong leader. They remember a time without order, and that he happened to be there. His identity becomes synonymous with the absence of what he once represented. He is not the lion who held control. He is the lion who was present when control dissolved. The final stage is not death. It is something worse, a long, ongoing irrelevance. He may live for years, wandering territory where his existence no longer matters, calling into silence a biological entity that has outlived its social function. There is no resolution here, because resolution requires narrative, and this is not a narrative. This is a process that continues until the biological system sustaining it ceases to function. Control does not end when it is taken. It ends when it is no longer expected, and when expectation shifts, the entity that once generated it becomes indistinguishable from the landscape it moves through. The lion does not lose control. Control expires, and he continues to exist in the space where it once was. Psychology puts it simply: everything ends one day. Good things, bad things, a human life, anything you can think of, we've reached the end of another video. I'm curious to hear your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel, because you need to witness the psychological stories, conditions, and destinies of these animals. Wishing you a remarkable life, James.